Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we explore the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Milan Kohut, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced, the lessons learned, and the strategies fueling future growth. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Danielle Robins, a dating and relationship coach and the founder of Be You Unlimited. She specializes in working with ultra-independent digital nomads and remote workers who feel lonely, disconnected, or caught in unhealthy relationship patterns, helping them build meaningful connections without sacrificing their freedom. Recognized for her work supporting clients to heal unresolved trauma, set healthy boundaries, and cultivate secure, loving relationships with themselves and others, Danielle brings a grounded, trauma-aware lens to modern dating and partnership. With that being said, Danny, let me officially welcome you to Founders Future.
Thank you so much. What a great introduction. I love it. That is literally like me in a nutshell.
Beautiful.
Where do we go? Where do we go
like
from
it. I love it. Awesome. Danny, I was very much looking forward to the conversation. So we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right into it. What I love to do with every single one of my guests is a bit of traveling back in time. So before you even had your own practice, your company, what were you doing before? And then eventually, what was the motivation for starting the business?
Yeah, good question. Because the journey into this is in two parts. We'll start here. Before I became a coach and a founder, I was working at booking.com. I was an account manager and I loved it. It was an amazing company to work for, great culture, a lot of prospects in terms of progression. And I did that for a decade. I reached a bit of a glass ceiling in terms of progression in the London office, and I felt very stifled. I didn't know what was next for me, and I felt very lost. And as a result, I actually invested quite heavily in working with a career coach to help me understand what was transferable. I was an account manager, so my role was very much client facing, one-to-one, really understanding their business model, their needs, and how booking.com could support them and really fill those gaps and help drive their growth. So it's interesting, obviously, with the work that I did with my career coach, it was super transferable. And I didn't know about coaching. I didn't know it was an industry until I started working with one. So yeah, I can see that, like my account management skills, how transferable they've become for me now as a coach working one-to-one. So no longer am I helping people grow their business, but I'm helping them grow on a personal level in their relationships.
What a beautiful combination. And also
Mm.
working with somebody like Booking.com, that must have been a hell of an experience because
Oh, it
these
was,
guys are doing great. Yeah.
yeah, it was amazing because actually I was there at the very beginning of their journey. So I got to be part of their growth journey and see them
Wow.
scale. Like I remember us celebrating like 100,000 bookings in a day, which is
Mhm.
hilarious because now we're probably on like millions, billions.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. What a journey, though. Beautiful. Awesome. Danny, let's talk about where this journey got you overall and what the business really looks like for you today. In this part of the podcast, my goal is to really bring the listeners closer to, first of all, who it is exactly that you're trying to help right now. And also, what are the core offerings and the structure that you have in place for your clients? So tell us all about it.
Yeah. As I left corporate, I left booking, I stepped into the world of coaching, and that was 5 years ago. I trained to become a coach. And it took me a little while to figure out, okay, what problem is it that I want to help people solve? And who is my ideal client? Because in the world of coaching, you can't be a generalist. Like you need to know who you're talking to and what problem you're there to solve. So I actually worked with a business coach after getting trained to learn the skills to help me navigate that. And I actually started off looking at my own journey, which I think many coaches do. It's okay, who are you and what problems did you have and what problems did you solve as an individual? And I actually started off as a fatherless daughter coach,
Mm.
which means, just to break that down, if you've grown up in a household where your father was absent, physically or emotionally abusive, then you are classified as fatherless. And I looked at my story and the impact that had on me with the relationship with myself and others was huge. And actually, I looked around my community, my friendship circle, and I was like, wow, like this actually impacts so many of us when you look at that classification. And I started talking to people about it, and everyone was like, oh my God, yeah, hashtag me too. And then you start looking at your relationships and the insecurities and fears as a result of not having that stable father figure relationship in your life. So that's where I started in my journey as a coach. Unfortunately, I got the marketing wrong because I was too focused on the problem and not the solution. So
Mhm.
even though it resonated with a huge amount of people out there, it was like, again, what is the problem that I'm solving? I went in thinking I want to do like women empowerment. It's not your fault that your father left you. You are good enough. But my product and my offering wasn't tight. Even though people resonated with them, like their identity, I hadn't figured out my offering yet. So that was a really like sticky, messy beginning, but I learned a lot from the process. And I paused and I reflected and I was like, okay, looking back again at my own life. And I would say, because of my fatherlessness, I had an insecure attachment style. And that resulted me being fiercely independent and a high achiever. So I was fiercely independent because I felt like I couldn't rely on other people because my dad wasn't there for me
Mhm.
and I couldn't trust people. Couldn't rely, I couldn't trust. And I was a high achiever because I felt like I constantly had to prove my worth, that I was good enough. And as a result of that, a symptom was that I was nomadic. Like I left booking.com in that decade that I was there. I left twice. One time was for 6 months, the next was for 3 years. And that was because I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. I was constantly trying to find my home and I never found it. And that's because I realized I was looking outside of myself. And as a result to this like nomadic way of living, like I really struggled in my relationships massively. I had
Mhm.
so many walls up. I was just like this island. I didn't let people in. I was emotionally unavailable. And I look back at my journey and then I looked about the people that I was hanging around with in my nomadic lifestyle and I was like, oh, wow, this is a thing. Nomadic people struggle in their relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're great at designing their own life. You know, they're very successful, charismatic, independent, resourceful people, yet their relationships they struggle with. So then I did some digging and I did some market research and I spoke to over 50 nomads. And there was a huge correlation between nomadic people growing up in a broken home, not having their needs met.
Yeah. This is very interesting though, because as you were talking about niching down and really finding like who is it that I actually want to help and what is going to be really the problem and also the solution. This is one of the biggest issues when it comes to the whole industry with coaching and consulting. People struggle with this, but it's lovely to see how this also reflected on your journey and your way of like how you process everything around who is going to be the clientele for me now. And it's also good to see that you actually took the time to do the research and to connect with all of these people to see if it is true, right? If it is just an assumption, if it's something that you can actually hold, basically base your strategy based on that, right? I love to see that now that we have a better understanding of who it is that you're looking to help. When it comes to the client journey, though, obviously there must be a couple of offers that you have in place or a couple of different ways that people can actually work with you. So, what does that look like for your clients now?
Yeah, so I have a 6 month one-to-one coaching program. It is a roadmap of such. However, I don't work in a tailored way. They're modules that we will touch where I have areas of expertise, but I very much meet my client where they're at, and everybody is so unique and individual on their path. But in terms of the process that I'm taking my client through, is that I will help them heal their past trauma, which for people with insecure attachment styles, they're operating from a place of fear. So let's understand what the beliefs are that are driving those fears so we can release them from your body and rewire them. I then help you build healthy boundaries and then cultivate a secure, happy, healthy relationship with yourself and others.
I love it. Would you say that the 6 month duration is because that's what it takes on average for you to really dive deeper into everything and set the client up for success in the future?
Yeah, yeah, and for new, sorry, sorry about that. There was someone at the door.
All good. All good.
Yeah, 6 months. The reason it's 6 months, yeah, I think in order to have long-term sustainable changes in terms of the way that you think, feel, and show up, that takes time for it to
Sure.
really embed, and it takes practice and then new challenges to come up, and then we work on that. And to be honest, everyone is different. Everyone's working at a different pace, coming on a starting at a different point in their journey. But I have a lot of returning clients because
Hmm.
I'm it sounds very cliche, but the work that I'm doing, it is very deep, it is healing, and I don't think there is a destination. It is a journey, and there's always new things that are coming up. And once you've built that trust, like we're always building on that foundation.
I
So
love it. Also, if you look at your industry and really the topics that you want to talk about with your clients, this is never going to be overnight success. So obviously, there's certain deep conversations that you guys need to have over the course of several months that are actually moving them closer to the target. But I would agree with what you just said. With something like this, you're never going to get to the finish line because it's constantly evolving, it's constantly changing. So I love to see that. Now, my other question when it comes to the structure of the offer, there is a lot of people in your industry who are aiming more towards creating something on a group basis, whether that's mentorship or just group coaching program. It not only allows your clients to like really see that, okay, this is bigger than me. There's other people who are going through the same issues or going through the same journey, but also through the lenses of business owner, it is much more scalable than just your one-on-one time. So I'm very curious, is this something that you already dabbled into, or is this a part of your plans in the future? What is your perspective on it?
I've given it a lot of thought, and I've come to the decision, even though there's some doubt there still, because there is something really powerful about group work, as you just said. Like the whole I'm not alone in this journey can be really powerful. But we are dealing with trauma work. People do get triggered, and there's memories that are coming up and get released. And I just think there is a danger of not being able to facilitate and support multiple people if that's all coming up at the same time in one space. People have panic attacks, and one-on-one, I feel very confident that I can provide a safe container where I can guide someone through that journey and come out the other side into a very regulated state. But I just think it's a bit of high risk in the work that I do because we're going back
Hmm.
to childhood memories that are like,
Gotcha.
childhood needs that are still impacting them now. It's very delicate, sensitive work.
Obviously, you have thought about it. So if this is
Yeah.
not going to be the best way for you to go in the future, like if you think about really the scalability of the model that you have in place now, what do you think is the best path for you to still be able to grow the business, scale the business more, impact a lot more people? Is it hiring other coaches to work with your methodologies, or what is the idea?
Yeah, I'm actually right in the middle of developing a different program. So I'm going to diversify my offer. Over the last year, there's been a strong theme in my client work around should I stay or should I go in this relationship? And I feel like that theme is speaking to me, it's calling me. It's okay, this is where people need support. Again, especially for high achievers, people don't want to let go of a relationship that isn't working because there is that fear of failure. And there's a lot of attachment issues there. So I want to help support people navigate that decision and the heartbreak side of, okay, you've decided to walk away from a relationship. So many people go into self-sabotage mode. Again, if you're fiercely independent high achievers, like throwing yourself into work and not actually sitting and processing what you've gone through, what you've learned, how it's impacted you in a positive and negative way. There's so much there, there's so much work to be done. So yeah, I want to diversify my offering. In terms of scaling, like I don't have huge ambition. For me, it's not about like revenue. I think it's about having balance is really important to me.
Absolutely. Now, I feel like considering your past and also all the knowledge and experience that you've collected over the years, obviously this is giving you enough of an opportunity to really diversify the portfolio when it comes to your offers. So I'm sure this is going to be changing in the future. There's going to be a lot of adjusting and pivoting, as in really any other business. But this is very interesting to me, though. You just shared with me and the audience that the way you're looking at the business really through the lenses of looking for balance and not really that kind of huge scale and growth. So I'm wondering, how is this actually going to look like for you in terms of management? Are you possibly trying to build out your own internal teams, maybe so they can support you on the journey and make sure that you're not taking all of those activities and running basically a one-woman show? Or would you rather just keep it to yourself, keep it small, sustainable? What is the general idea here?
Again, this is why I feel like I've got conflict, because there's so many elements in my business where I'm not confident, and I would love the ability to outsource that. So for example, marketing. Like, in order, actually, I'll run through it because there's so many elements. I think it'd be good for people to understand, especially if they're looking to get into this industry. If you want a coaching business, you have to be good at branding, niching, marketing, lead gen, sales, customer service, admin, finance. Like, you've got to wear all these hats. Oh, plus coaching, obviously, that's the main
Yep.
thing. That's your service, that's your product. You've got to wear all those hats, and you have to do all of that consistently for this, all these cogs in terms of your system to be working effectively to get really good results. Now, I didn't get into this because I was good at wearing all those hats. Like, I'm passionate about coaching, but now I have to be really good at all these other things. And I think all these other things are other people's individual expertise. And now my business is requiring of me to be an expert in all these things. And it's really hard. Like, marketing is not my favorite thing. I've got a love-hate relationship with social media. So if I could outsource that to somebody else, amazing. But I am the product. I'm providing the service. So how can I outsource that? It
Yeah.
needs to be my message, my word, my brand voice. It needs to be videos of me.
This is very true, though, obviously. But to be honest, from my perspective, it is always better for you as a business owner to just go through the journey yourself, take the time
Mm,
to really master a couple of those things and really set the right fundamentals. Because once you really get to that position of having the ability to hire other people, you still have control over what's happening, what's being communicated, how am I communicating it on social media or anywhere else, right? So
yeah.
I think it's always better to go through the trenches, but at the same time, I completely understand why there is some frustration about this. It's not easy though. Like it is literally about wearing several different hats every single day. But I'm also curious, like looking retrospectively back, there must be several different things that you've tried in terms of lead gen and really getting in front of the right people and having something predictable that you can work with. So I'm curious, what is it right now that you're doing on the front of marketing and lead gen to have the ability to onboard new clients into your programs and grow that way?
Yeah. So I started off on Instagram as, I was a fatherless daughter coach at the time, but still I was in that kind of relationship, women empowerment zone. And I felt like that wasn't the place for LinkedIn. I had a perception that was just for professional business career coaching. So I started off on Instagram. It was very different then to how it is now. Like, I was able to grow like 700 followers in the first year. Like, it was like output, input. Like, you could see, like, I did a post and as a result I got followers, and it
Mhm.
doesn't work like that now. Like, the algorithm has changed a lot over the last 5 years. And what I found was I was creating content and it just wasn't getting seen. My audience was no longer seeing it. I was no longer getting traction. And I knew that I needed to do video. I needed to give the
Mhm.
algorithm what it wanted. I know it's like short form and long form content right now. And that's just not
Yeah.
my area of expertise. Like, that drains me. It just takes so much out of me. So I parked Instagram, like, and now I focus on LinkedIn, where I'm actively able to attract my ideal client into my audience. So I was posting once or twice every week. I was working with a VA to help me find my ideal clients and collate lists. And then I was targeting them and inviting them, sending DMs, inviting them into my audience, and then inviting them to connect. And that system's worked really effectively for me, especially because I know who my ideal client is. It's nomads and remote workers. So I
Yeah.
know how to find them.
You know what? Organic traffic, that's something that can be very tricky. You really have to be very consistent with those activities, and it just takes time. It's a slow drip. Which also begs the question though, have you ever dabbled into paid ads on social media to leverage that kind of potential, maybe create something more predictable, or not yet?
I haven't. I haven't. I
Mm.
think I'm scared. There's a bit of fear there for me. I feel like I tell myself I'm not good at marketing. So it's, am I going to put money on the thing that I'm telling myself I'm not good at?
Oh yeah, I
No.
got you.
But
Do you feel like this is something that's going to be necessary for you to take it to the next level though?
yeah, I think it's really hard to get visibility on social media. I think the big accounts are getting a
Mhm.
lot of the visibility. And I'm even seeing people who do have big accounts, who do have high profiles, saying that their content isn't getting seen. And they're
Yeah, I
posting
mean,
every day.
this is how it works with your organic reach. I was having a conversation about this a couple of weeks ago, I think, but it was a gentleman who really had a huge following, over 600,000 people following him on Instagram. And we're just having a conversation like it's not one of those things where it's going to be lovely all year around and it's never going to stop. Yes, it eventually it is going to drop. You're not going to have that kind of reach. You're not going to be seen so much. It's just not going to work like a well-oiled machine. So you really need to look into other alternatives in terms of where can I get those leads? How can I get in front of those people? It comes back to the strategies, right? When it comes to somebody like you, I also appreciate the transparency, right? There is a lot of self-awareness with you, just being honest with yourself. Hey, listen, this is not like one of my strengths. But in reality, yes, this is something that you're going to have to do eventually to take the business to the next level. So, my perspective on this, like either we really take the time to master this ourselves and really try to see what the hell is going on behind the scenes of something like this, or just hire
Mm.
somebody who can do it for you. But yeah, it definitely takes some time to really understand what's happening with that. Beautiful. Danny, before we wrap this up, I still want to ask you one of my questions. It's been a couple of years. It's been some time that you've been running this project and really looking back at your entrepreneurial journey. If you could travel back to the maybe very beginning of that journey, what would you say would be the best piece of advice that you would give yourself?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Again, like being honest and transparent is core values of mine. And you'll see that on my content. I'm very raw. It's important for me. And yeah, this answer is yeah, quite exposing. But I would say I jumped in to entrepreneurship, like Anna Coach, I left my corporate career, my stability, financial security. I just took a leap. I found something that I loved and it made sense. And I believed in the process. And that's been scary because I haven't had a cushion, a financial cushion. I've just depended on me and my business. And I wouldn't do that again because that pressure is not healthy. If you're gonna set up a business, do it on the side of your stability, your income, and have that as a security, and then just do this as your like side hustle and slowly build it up without the pressure of it having to perform. Because that pressure's not been good. It's pushed me to the point there's
Yeah.
been times where I've wanted to give up. I can't because I that this is my livelihood. Like,
This is such a raw and good advice, though. Like I had a chance to speak with a ton of people in the coaching and consulting industry, and it's exactly what you just said. Either it's gonna push you to truly like step into the best version of yourself who can actually make it happen, or it's
yeah,
gonna break you. And
yeah.
so being a little bit more strategic about how you go about this whole thing, yeah, that might be beneficial for sure.
It's a fine line,
Oh
those
yeah,
two
it
things.
is.
It's been
Yeah.
like white walking a tightrope. And one
Yeah.
day you fall into one camp and the other day you fall into the other, and it's a lot.
Yeah. Danny, I'm enjoying myself a little bit too much. I'm absolutely loving your energy and your transparency. But at this point, I'm going to say thank you for taking the time today, sharing the story with me and the audience. If anybody from the listeners wanted to get in touch with you, perhaps even work with you one day, how to go about it?
LinkedIn. Yeah. Find me on LinkedIn. Send me a
Beautiful.
DM.
What is the handle on LinkedIn if anybody was looking right now?
It's my name. I do all my business content through my name. So it's Danielle Robins.
Danielle Robins. Beautiful. Danny, it was great to have you. It was a pleasure. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Now, to our listeners, if today's conversation inspired you as well, make sure to subscribe to Founders Future on your favorite platform. And also, if you're a business owner, more specifically a consultant or a coach, or you have an agency and you're trying to scale the business and really enhance both your sales and marketing efforts, also visit closers.io, get in touch with our team, and discover how exactly we scaled our company from 0 to over 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on crushing it, and I'll see you on the next one.